two prime ministers with the same name. Couldn't get more Jewish than that.
And he says that one day all of the flags on the walls are going to be Palestinian flags and they're not going to be Israeli flags, and that his nation he's going to make sure that his nation makes this happen and achieves this goal. Well, what's your nation? You're elected to the Israeli Knesset, and if you spit in your father's face, you obviously didn't learn anything.
You're just fake. You're fake. You're two-faced.
Yeah.
And it kills all the demons, so you have less resistance.
There's so much in Kriyat Shema Lamita. It's one of the hardest things. The Mishkan is this dynamic, mobile, but set foundation place that you use, that you sanctify, that you separate from the world, and then it goes with you. When you leave it, there's no way you're going inside, and you can't even see an opening. But if you just go to the side a little bit, then you can go inside, and there's no real door. It's just called a masach in Hebrew. Masach in Hebrew is like a screen, but it's something that covers what you're meant to be looking at, right?
Jackass, you're a great inspiration.
Yeah.
Jackass, great inspiration. So I started since young on like making these Jackass type of comedy. Listen, God made this world. It's an edgy world. God has some dark humor, I think.
Yeah, we live there in the top, and we've been there for years. So like, when did you live there? I was like 5-6 years ago. And they're like, oh, great. So, yeah, we remember you. Which apartment were you? And I was like...
Did they suddenly remember you now?
No, they remember the situation because we were like, okay, it's like a very quiet neighborhood, and we moved in there like 2-3 Americans making a lot of noise, making a lot of smells that weren't familiar.
You guys.
So she was...
Welcome to the pod.
Chaim, everybody. Welcome to another episode of...
Du hast the pod.
Chaim, brother.
What happened over there? With my voice.
So, halachically, I think it's better you make the bracha on the whiskey because it's a more chashav.
It's definitely more chashav than water.
Yeah, you know.
If you have a choice, if you're in the desert, you have a choice to bring whiskey or water. Always go for whiskey.
Chaim. Bing.
Alright, bing it up.
Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה b'dvaro.
Amen. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה b'dvaro.
Amen, guys, don't say amen. It's only if you
What
hear.
a difference in brachas. Yours is basically Taimani and mine is straight from the shtetl in Poland.
It's all good. They still say the same thing.
Where does this bing come from?
Bink, I said it last time in the last episode. Bink is.
I have a short memory.
There's this.
We always drink on the podcast.
There's this comedian that like does commentary on the NBA. He just like does highlights, and like one of the guys is like, he just like dribbles the ball, and he says bink, bink, bink. Like, it's just
like he's giving commentary every time he's like dribbling. He's saying bink.
Yeah, he does a lot of different things, but like just like on one of the funny, quirky, comedic things he says is bink, bink. So. My wife loves it, so bink it is.
Good enough. If it's for Shalom Bais.
We don't clink, so we bink.
So we're saying we're talking about moving to a different place with our podcast. Because, if you can hear.
Our third Chassid that's in the pod wants a more active role, and we're not sure he's there yet, so... He's still an apprentice.
One day, Aaron, he'll be on the podcast.
I want to do Kiruv like Abba.
He'll be the main chassid.
Yeah, maybe we'll move to the distillery. Tzfat Distillery 148 might adopt us.
It's a great place. It's a really beautiful spot. It's awesome. I love to hang out there. It's just so awesome.
Yeah, we just have it after hours. We just, we have our equipment set up really quick. Yeah. It could be really cool.
Emmanuel's cool with it. What?
Bottles of whiskey all around us, wine. We can taste different things. We can review every episode a different bottle.
Oh yeah, but is Emmanuel gonna be okay with that? Just like finishing his bottles.
We'll work it out. We'll see.
What happened to my bottles? It's only been a week. We reviewed all of them.
Oh, this is so good. This is the
Hava
Nissim Black's Hava whiskey. We gotta get Nissim, man. I feel like texting him right now. But
text him right now. Text this.
We'll get him after. We'll
send him a voice message now.
Should we do it live on Instagram?
Yeah.
When are you coming? It's B'ezrat Hashem that if we move into Tzfat Distillery, it'll be much more comfortable. I think it'll be easier for both of us. because it would be outside of our houses, like both
Yeah,
of our
it's just
houses.
better like to have an office outside of your home and the studio. Just like no distractions at all. Just like
Yeah, doors locked. It's
just
after hours.
podcast. No clients.
Good vibes. Yeah, I think it.
Just guests.
Let's try. Let's try next week.
Yeah. Okay, let's
Or
do
even
it.
this week. I'm down. New beginnings, new starting.
Yeah.
Also, like our new curtains until we get them installed here.
Let's move already.
Yeah, they were good for one episode, and for the skits and stuff. But speaking of skits, your last skit was amazing. Your last prime ministerial election skit.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for my letter back or call back. Still
No,
haven't
you didn't get the
gotten
call
any.
back?
No.
It looks like Naftali Bennett got their call back.
Shoot. You would think it's good, right? You would think it's Naftali Bennett. He has a kippah. He looks religious. I know I don't want to talk Lashon Hara about him, Chaz v'Chalila, but like, how do we do this safely? Shoot. Might have to delete all of this. No, whatever. I don't know. I don't know personally, but like, all I know, I thought it couldn't get any worse. The government. I mean, we've been like having
We didn't
some
even have a
type of-
government.
we had some type of fake government. We had like two BBs. We had Benny Gantz and we had Benjamin Netanyahu. Like two Benjamins. That's crazy. We had two governments. We had two prime ministers with the same name. It couldn't get more Jewish than that.
It's like Rabbi Torchman always tells the story. This guy gets like lost on a stranded island, right? And after a while, you have to get more comfortable. You can't just be living in the tree houses. So he starts to build. So he builds and builds and builds. This guy finally comes back by in a boat. The man manages to signal him down. He comes to the island to see who this man is that's signaling him in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert, the sea. He says, "Wow, what are these buildings?" He says, "These are my synagogues." He says, how many people are here? How many people are on the island with you? He says, "No, I'm by myself." So he says, "You need two synagogues?" He says, "Yeah, this is the one I go to, and this is the one I'll never go to."
Exactly.
So you have two BBs, the one I voted for, and the one I'll never vote for. I say it's so ridiculous.
And now it gotten just worse. We have this weird unity government. They're calling this. How is this a unity government?
Because we have left wing, what they call central or right wing, what they want to call Naftali Bennett right wing, and then Arabs. So it's like everything that you could be together in a government, right? It's like left, right, whatever they consider him to be right as, and then Arabs.
Wow. And they're totally. I was reading on Arusha, there was an article. One of the minister, one of the officials of the Joint List Arab party said like he wants a Palestinian flag instead of an Israeli flag. They're just so against Israel. How are they even in the government? How is it all in Israel you can have people only in the state of Israel? Only in the state of Israel you can have actual people against the state of Israel in the government. How insane.
It's not normal. It's not normal. I mean, listen, in all due respect, it's happening in the U.S. now. It's happening in the U.S. as well. There's ministers and congressmen and senators that are, anti-America.
Yeah, you're right.
Ilhan Omar
It's
and
not
all
only
these people,
state
and
of
they're
Israel.
friends with Ayman Uda here in the Knesset. All these people today, he said, and there's the march of the flags, right? Hamas said if you march in your own country with your own flag, we're gonna attack you. Interesting. But they
Didn't
did it
stop
anyway in
anyone, though.
Jerusalem. Yeah, they went out thousands today, and there's big fights probably still going on as we speak. But in the end of the day, you have Ayman Uda comes, is an elected official in the Israeli Knesset, and he says that one day all of the flags on the walls are going to be Palestinian flags, and they're not going to be Israeli flags, and that his nation he's going to make sure that his nation makes this happen and achieves this goal. Well, what's your nation? You're elected to the Israeli Knesset. And you're saying that your nation is going to switch all the flags to the Palestinian flags one day.
Wow.
So what exactly is going on? And
It's
the fact
crazy.
that this only happened by way of a Jew that wears a kippah, it's very funny. Someone gave me a crazy chidush on this. I told you, but we never ended up recording. But you have Tehillim here?
Yeah.
This is nuts. Anybody go check it out. If you saw me on Instagram, I posted it, but look at it yourself. You open Tehillim to 109, to the 109th chapter, or Kuftet.
At least it's not 119.
Kuftet, yeah. It's a long
It's
song.
a great one.
It's only one pasuk though. Kuftet, right? In Kuftet, you have here, Maybe afterwards we could edit it. Yeah, they get the little
They
pasuk
can
on the
see
screen.
it.
Maybe. Anyways,
Bing.
so it says here, "Afked alav rasha, v'satan ya'amod al yemino."
Wait. Assign a wicked man over him. Let an accuser stand at his right side.
So now, what's the word for accuser? Is first of all, let's start from the beginning. Afked alav rasha, appoint a wicked man over him. Right? This guy that's now the prime minister is only prime minister because he brought with him, which is Lapid, a huge anti-Israel person fighting the Torah for many generations. Him, his father, and his grandfather in Israeli politics and government and media. That's one person. And then an Arab that is a clear hater of Israel into the government. Afked alav rasha, you appointed a wicked person. Then what happens? The Satan yamod al yemino. The Satan, the devil, the evil side will stand on the right. But usually we know in the Kabbalah, where does all the evil come from?
From the left.
From the left side.
Wow.
So what's he doing on the right? Well, Naftali Bennett's party is called Yamina. It's called the right.
Wow.
Okay? And if you take Satan in Hebrew, right, you have what's called Atbash in Gematria, which is like the Aleph corresponds to the Taf. The Bet corresponds to the Shin, like the first and the last, right?
Yeah.
It's another way to mix Gematrias. So the Atbash of Satan is Bennett.
No.
So it's pretty crazy that it's in the Torah.
Wow.
This was told to me last week as it was like made clear that Bennett's gonna take over. So I mean, it's there.
My God. I need a lot of time.
Who knows, man? Who knows? In the end of the day, Hashem rules the world. Politicians are just puppets here. They're puppets to the people above them, to the deep state, and they're puppets to Hashem. And in the end of the day, Hashem runs the world. Right now, for whatever reason, we have to make big tshuva because the fact that we have, an Arab
that's because of
hater.
us.
Exactly.
Because of our behavior. We can always blame. Like I like how we always blame everyone else, but really we're the only ones to blame. When everybody says the Jews are to blame, they're kind of right. We are to blame for everything in the world. Unfortunately, the whole world relies on us and our behavior.
And especially in our own home,
Yeah.
in the fact that there's, so long now.
I read actually about that. If you're really nice outside, you can be great outside, really great with friends and with people. But if you're like a douche in the home to your own wife and your own children, it doesn't mean anything.
There's a famous mashal of someone says ben adam lechavero, the commandments between man to man, between human beings of being polite and not murdering, all those, that I'm completely fine with. But between man and God, I don't do that. Right? It's like, well, you're gonna tell me I'm a bad person because I only respect, because I respect all my friends, but I don't respect God, so I'm a bad person. I'm evil now because I don't go according to what He says. But I'm nice to everybody. So I heard a rabbi say once that it's like, imagine a kid in a neighborhood that he runs around helping everybody. Anyone that needs help, he runs and he helps them. He goes out of his way looking for people to help all day long. But when his father needs something or asks him something, he spits in his face. Is that a good kid or a bad kid? It's a garbage kid, right? What matters is you help the whole entire world.
Exactly.
If you spit in your father's face, you obviously didn't learn anything.
No, you're just fake. You're fake. You're two-faced. What is two-faced? Two-faced is worse than one that is listen, I'm a shitty person, I know, and at least you're aware of it. But someone that's two-faced, he's going with it. It's terrible, and that's what we need to work on. We need to just own our
being
nonsense.
Jewish.
We own our nonsense and own being Jewish. Own that we have nonsense, and it's okay. Be aware of it, right? We need to be aware of it because okay, we know we're not perfect because we cannot despair. Oh, we suck and that's it. No, okay, we have things that are bad and we have things that are good. Okay, you just realize it, be aware of it, now focus on the good things, right? Be aware, okay, I'm not so great, now let's focus on doing good. The Rebbe said always, he said, if you focus on the darkness, you'll become the darkness. That's why we're Chabad is not about Musar, doesn't like Musar. Why? Because Musar focuses all about the negative, don't do that, don't do this. But when you're so focused on that, you're beating yourself up constantly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's no place for Musar, but in this generation,
positive and reinforcement.
Yeah, but in this generation especially, we need to focus on the good because this is the lowest generation, right? So we
or the
need,
highest.
and also the highest. We're so we are the lowest generation and the highest, like you say, maybe spiritually, but fell so low in this generation where
Yeah.
like you see the worst tuma, the worst impurities all around you everywhere constantly on your screen, not on the screen, in the government. It's everywhere. But where was I going with this?
Musa, positivity,
Oh yeah, so
focusing
the
on the
Rebbe
good.
said like, okay, so we have all this negativity around, so it's enough of like focusing on the negative. There's so much negativity. We should just like focus on the good and start like working on the things we're good at, looking at the things we're good and like just improving them, and then also like fixing slowly the things we're bad at, right?
So that's why you made a skit to wake us up and to add some light. Well, talk about it because you
By the way,
haven't.
what I said like after that, when I said like focusing on the good and working on those things, I'm just saying that myself, right? Because I don't know what's the best way to work on myself. First of all, like I'm just trying to figure it out. I don't know about you, like for example, me, like I just want to just talk about that, and then we'll talk about the comedy. Like for example, like I know like I have a really hard time waking up in the
Yeah.
morning, and it's up and out, on and off. Like I really working on it. I'm trying to work on it, and I know it's really hard. And also, my wife doesn't, of course, like it, and I'm really trying to wake up early. I'm trying to like stick to a time to go to bed on time because I'm a night person, right? But like, there's needs to be a limit because I can get dragged on, like writing things down. I'm like very creative. I like to write skits and comedy stuff at night, and like to come up with all this stuff at night when it's like quiet and there's no noise. But at a certain point, you need to like draw the line. And like,
Your morning starts at night.
exactly.
Yeah. It
Exactly.
depends when you go to bed. It depends when you start to prepare to go to sleep. Yeah.
But if I would be like constantly hung up on that, I wouldn't get anywhere. Be like, oh no, I cannot wake up. I need to wake up. So I need to just focus. Okay, like setting this time, going to bed at this time. That's it. I'm okay. And now, okay, maybe even the same day I messed up. Okay, what's the next step? Okay, trying to wake up early. Okay, I messed that up. Okay, next time I'm going to bed earlier. Just like constantly focus the next thing you're gonna do, and then eventually it slowly it's working. Like I mess up often, but like more and more I'm like going to bed earlier.
You're building the
Waking up
framework.
and we're building
Oh.
building the framework up.
It's as in scheduling. It's also for me like wake up. Sometimes I miss davening. I miss praying in the morning, and then I like go to I go to kollel, and then put on tefillin, or go to kollel and then go to work and then put on tefillin. It's like, and it's not good. Waking up early in the morning and praying straight, and then starting your day. There's nothing better than in the world. Not doing a thing until you pray. Until
I
Aleinu,
notice
you don't do
it
anything.
so much. The difference is day night. If you do
It's
that,
two different. Your day is longer. You're more successful. You get more done.
your
Everything
head feels
opens up.
clearer.
100%. And lumad then you wake up later, and then you like everything is like more like, okay, I woke up late today. Like everything feels like you woke up late today.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's not.
A big delay.
It really all starts at night. It starts at night begging Hashem. And when you say Kriyat Shema at night, begging Hashem to wake you up at a certain hour.
I want to say Kriyat Shema at night helps so much with that. Like when you say it, you start like I remember Rav Alanava saying when you start saying it, you'll start feeling tired.
Yeah.
And when you especially if you focus on the words, what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it kills all the demons, so you have less resistance.
It's there's so much in Kriyat Shema Namita. It's one of the hardest things for me. And also the sleeping and waking up, like if I have to, that's the bad thing too. It always sucks because like if you have like some crazy thing, like oh I'm going on a trip or something, then you're waking up. Like you're waking up. There's no way you're gonna miss it. You have a fight, you're gonna wake up. But what? To talk to Hashem, you have a hard time. But yeah, that's where the Yetzer is. The Yetzer is not the Yetzer going on a vacation to wake up on time. Yeah, great. You're going on a trip with the Yetzer Hara VIP access and everything. He's there with you, signing every paper for you. But to wake up for Shachari, that's the last thing he wants you to do.
With that, I noticed actually there was a time I was doing really well, and that was when I would like before I would go to sleep, after I would learn first, like I would put away all my technology, and I'm working on this again, like putting away technology, and like
that's a big part of all of this.
Yeah, that is probably one of the biggest things,
biggest
problems. Yeah. Top two,
if not one,
addictions. Yeah, and when you put that away, listen, there's a place and time, and it is useful for things, but certain point you need to like grab it and throw it away, throw it out of your window, flush it down the toilet. And then you
buy a new phone tomorrow until you run out of money. You can't afford to do that.
Exactly. And then you have no problems anymore because you can't afford a new phone and you'll be fine. And
send me a telegraph.
Or an
owl. More owls. I like that. Chassidic, we're bringing some Hogwarts vibes into the Chassidic world.
So yeah, when you put that away, I used to put it away and then just learn. And then what I would do after learning, between learning and Kriyat Shema, I would like just sit alone in the room and just like talk to Hashem and like thank him for everything I've done, like the Hitbodedus, the Ari Nachman stuff.
It's really important.
And that would like really like reset myself. Like, oh right, well, because they're constantly in a hustle and a bustle and doing things, but you need a moment to like, whoa, take a step back. There's a God here. Like I haven't talked to him for a while. I'm doing things for him. Like maybe it's even unconscious. Like I'm constantly doing things, but it's all for Hashem. But it's like it might be sometimes unconscious and not thinking. Okay, I'm making this podcast. I'm doing this skit, or I'm like I'm learning this Torah, but really this is all for Hashem. And like, okay, let's now have a personal conversation, right? And that would help me so much with like going to bed and I'm waking up earlier.
It's amazing because this is like all like this is all opa. This is all what like Rav Torjman is teaching us now of is like this whole chabura of the Mishkan. Right? We're like learning from the Mishkan of how to bring the Mishkan into our everyday life.
Yeah, I really want to join that chabura. By
You're more than welcome. Tuesdays at 8:30. It's fine. Old City.
So what is it? You learn about the Mishkan?
Basically Rav Torjman's father.
We have Ariel. Should we answer?
He can come. If he's gonna come, he's gonna come. Rav Torjman's father helped edit a book. There's a big tzaddik that made drawings of every single detail of the Mishkan. He made imagine an IKEA manual of the Mishkan. Right? Everything diagrammed, what it's made of, how long it's meant to be, what it does, everything, right?
But no piece is missing.
No,
like in IKEA, something is missing.
Call 1-800 Moshe. No, anyway, so this fat book. It's this thick of literally a diagram of every part of the Mishkan, and his father helped edit it. And Shlomo, a friend of ours, had just an idea. Let's do a chabura learning this book, and it's not like a book that you can. There's no words really. It's diagrams. It's a book of diagrams of the whole entire Mishkan. And we're just flowing, we all agree. My father-in-law Shlomo and I and Rav Torjman, we agreed. Let's do the chabura. We're taking the Mishkan because he always talks about how the Mishkan is this mobile home, that it's everywhere, and that you have to make your Mishkan like asuli migdash. Like you have to make this migdash. You have to make this Mishkan, and the Mishkan is this dynamic, mobile but set foundation place that you use, that you sanctify, that you separate from the world, and then it goes with you when you leave it. And all this different, he always talks about it, how every different detail, when a person comes to wash their hands, to do netilat yadayim, you have to have kavanah of the Kohen Gadol inside the Mishkan. Everything you can do, putting on your clothing, putting on your shoes, making a fire, everything that we know to do, any creation, any malacha, comes from the Mishkan, comes from the creation of the world, which is all the Mishkan. So he always talks about this, and he has the book just sitting there. So now we're doing this amazing chabura, and he's just going through it. And a lot of what you're saying, for example, the scheduling and the waking up at night and going to sleep. Okay, it's a very hard thing for us, right? It's probably both of us. It's probably one of our hardest struggles. So one of the ideas is the Mishkan, right? It was 3 walls, and then this wall came a little bit out longer and down. So you couldn't, from the front of the Mishkan, you saw a wall here, but really there was another wall here, and you could only come in from the side, right? So you look at this is closed, but from here it's open. And you walk in, and there's no door. There's no door.
It's like a little maze.
Exactly. So you just have to go around this thing and then go in. So what you look at it straight on, there's no way you're going inside, and you can't even see an opening. But if you just go to the side a little bit, then you can go inside, and there's no real door. It's just called a masach in Hebrew. Masach in Hebrew is like a screen, but it's something that covers what you're meant to be looking at, right? So you sometimes it's hard for us to conquer this thing of sleeping and everything, but maybe if we put way more emphasis on other parts in life, if we go to the side, it's okay, here I'm inside, here I do this thing very well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Go focus on that, put your whole energy in that, and then the other things start to focus, to sort out for you. And today we learned there's these sockets that the amudim, the pillars of the Mishkan, would go into on the ground. It's made of copper. It's the lowest of the precious metals. It's not gold. It's not silver. It's it's copper. So it's low erech. It's low value. But that holds the whole entire walls of all the Mishkan, these sockets that you put these amudim in. And then because of those things, then you can build the whole Mishkan, right? So what are those things? We just learned this. I just came from this year to here, right? What
I don't have to go. I'm getting
what are these things, right? So these things could be learning with your wife, that like a learning that you don't change. It could be that, and we all want that high of Kiryat Shema and the Amidah, right? But maybe force yourself to get that high out of saying Birkot HaShachar. Say Birkot HaShachar with so much enthusiasm that it feels like the Amidah to you. These little things that are nechoshet, that are copper, that are not gold and silver, they're the smaller things, but you put so much importance to them. And these are these little things, taking out the garbage without your wife ever asking for you. You go ahead of
Big one.
You go ahead of what she
By the way, comedy skit coming about exactly that, taking out the trash.
Amazing. It's such ashkacha prati that you're making
It's
a
funny,
skit
yeah.
about this, and I'm learning about this.
The same day you learned about this, about taking out the trash, and I did a skit about it.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So yeah, basically this chabur is amazing. You're
Yeah.
more than invited.
Yeah.
And we need women also, because Rav Torjuman's very big
great.
on the women helping us. So the women don't come to the class, but we have it recorded. We pass it to our wives, and he wants the women to develop how we translate it from that shiur into some content that can go out to the masses. He wants the women to develop that. So we need a little bit of
And
help
they just
there.
did it right now.
Well, but they think much better, so it'd be better. But yeah, so you're making skits. What's going on? I'm asking you. Explain, what is Avidan comedy? What are you setting out to do? Where's the inspiration from? How do you make these skits?
Really, where's the inspiration from? I think I talked about this earlier. Like, I always loved comedy because that's how I used to deal with things. I didn't have the easiest upbringing. I didn't also have the hardest upbringing, but like, it was in a lot intensity. So I would always be the joker at school. I would always make fun, and I always loved Jackass. Really great inspiration.
Yeah,
Jackass,
I
great
love
inspiration.
them.
So I
Wild
started
Boys.
since young on, like making these Jackass type of comedy, stupid videos, right, where we basically hurt each other and prank each other. Really lowest level comedy. But I would really enjoy making the videos. I would really enjoy like making people laugh, making ourselves laugh, and it like, even though it was so low level, it would really bring good vibes. And you would see like other people, like they do certain activities, but it wasn't as fun. It's still, we had like, I felt like we had so much fun, and I just took that with me. And I always like, later in life, I stopped with it, went to the army and did other things, and then again I picked it up, like always was doing some type of comedy. I started doing like some funny vlogs, and it was always something that's part of me, just being like the clown and the joker around. I would always make jokes. And yeah, I just, at a certain point when I just did tshuva, I was like, okay, after my 2 years of like really learning, like what has been just, and being married, and I've been really like, the first year I tried to focus on learning a lot, and again I want to pick up learning. But what's more, the same important, maybe even more important than that, is taking your skill. It says like you have to take your skill. It's a crime if you don't take your skill and talent and use that for kedusha, use that for Hashem, for holiness, to serve Hashem, right? We all got a skill in life. You got a skill, I got a skill, everybody got a skill, and we all have that, not just for like fun and passioning. Well, take that and aim it, right? So this is what I want to do. I want to like take the comedy and like bring it to people that, need some uplifting. Because I see a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of comedy, there's a lot of entertainment, but not so much in your Jewish area. And when you have like, one of the things that really motivated me is like, I see a lot of people and they're like kind of in the middle, right? They're not too religious and they're not totally secular, and they kind of like, they feel like they don't belong anywhere, and I think that's also what we're doing with this podcast.
So
Podcast. We're giving like a platform for people that like, listen, religion is like just Jewish. Forget religion. Judaism should be fun. This is the tachlit. This is the purpose, right? So I think that's what I'm trying to do with my comedy, is show that like life can be fun, and life is supposed to be, should be fun. Like you're saying like earlier, like taking something that you like, right? What was saying exactly, like you focus on something you're good at,
yeah,
and even if it's Baruch Shamar, and like just enjoy that, right? It's very important to enjoy the mitzvahs you're doing and to give your full heart in it, because if you're not doing it with simcha, like Hashem doesn't like that. Hashem doesn't like it when you just do it out of habit. Like Hashem wants you to be happy. Hashem wants you to enjoy it because it's supposed to be fun, and we get caught up in things. So I'm just trying to like really show like that Judaism is fun, life is fun. It's not even like so much Jewish always related, but it's like, it's also not like dirty or something. It's like
kosher comedy.
kosher comedy. You can have fun and you can be Jewish and like a good Jew and have fun and do comedy. And it's like it's not even like the cleanest. It's like some things are a bit dark. Even like I like dark comedy, but it's okay. Like there's nothing wrong with it. You can make certain jokes that are even a bit edgy, and it's still fine. Like listen, God made this world. It's an edgy world. God has some dark humor. I think
For
he
sure.
made this world. He must have some dark humor, And humor comes from God. Hashem loves humor.
And he has a good sense of humor too.
He has an amazing sense of
It's
humor.
amazing the way Hashem does things. It's not Nisim the other day in the store, yesterday, the day before, like this couple are walking in, they're checking out the place and everything, and they go downstairs to show them the martef, the wine cellar. I'm like, where are you guys from in Israel? There you go, Ramat Gan. So I lived in Ramat Gan on Rehov Zaytim. They're like, we live in Rehov Zaytim. Like, which apartment? I was like, I think 26 was the number. I don't know. This was 2015. They're like, oh, 26? We live in 26. And they're like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's like it's a very small street, the last building on the right. And they're like, yeah, we live there in the top, and we've been there for years. So like, when did you live there? I was like 5-6 years ago. And they're like, oh, great. So yeah, we remember you. Which apartment were you? And I was like,
Did they suddenly remember you now?
yeah, they remember the situation because we were like, okay, it's like a very quiet neighborhood, and we moved in there like 2-3 Americans making a lot of noise, making a lot of smells that weren't
it's you
familiar.
guys.
So she was like, oh, yeah, but you didn't look like that then. And I was like, no, but that's exactly where I got my whole entire spark was there. Like, but it's so funny. In the end, they ended up buying a bottle just to like have the memory and like took a selfie together. Like, but
That's awesome.
it's Hashem Mamash brings us like the funniest situations. But it really depends on how you look at it. You can look at it, you can be depressed, or you can look at it and be like, wow, that was a good one. I like that one. On this episode of Avidan's life, that was hilarious. So, Baruch Hashem, that's
That's
the
what I'm trying
ikar.
to do with the comedy also, is like to bring the light out of the situation. It's all funny. It's all going to be good at the end. And like, even if it sucks at the moment. I remember I was in the hospital a few weeks ago, emergency room,
Yeah.
and I was writing jokes while I was laying there in the emergency bed. Like, it's like, this is funny. Like, this is fun. And I just try, and then it makes everything better. It makes the whole situation better because it is funny. It just like depends how you focus. Like the Rebbe said, when you can focus on negative, but then you become the negative, or you can focus on the good, then you become the good. Right?
Meaningful
However you
people
said
just
it.
had Meaningful People just had Joey Rosenfeld on, Rabbi Jonesy
yeah.
Rosenfeld. I don't know if you watched it, but
I
I
started
highly
watching it.
recommend it.
You
Amazing.
watched the whole thing?
Twice. Literally twice. Because I watched it once and then I watched it another time with my wife. Like, and the second time was way better than the first time.
Wow, I should watch
And I got much deeper, like, because I already broke the ice. So now I was like, okay, what is he saying? Like, it wasn't no longer the show, and now it's like, what's the Torah coming out? Amazing episode, highly recommend it.
So what does he talk about? Yeah.
They talk about a lot. They talk about mainly about Joey and how he, develops all these ideas. I love listening to his story anyway, but it was very cool to see him, just like him. It was very nice. But in there, Joey mentions like Yitzchak, how Yitzchak is nothing funny. He brings like, I think it's the Tzfat Emet, if I'm not mistaken, or Chidushei Harim, but there's nothing funny about
The patriarch.
Yitzchak. Yeah, like it's straight Din.
Yeah, Gvura.
Gvura, like, strict constrictment, and like very precise. There's not too much funny, but like that is the funniest. Like in the end of the day, like you have to laugh. You have to like. It's vatischak leyom acharon. Like there's times when Mashiach comes, like this is just what it's going to be. It's just this laughter, this ultimate laughter, and it comes from the mina meitzah, from the constrictions, from the hard points. So. Ashrecha, bro. Chaim to Avidan comedy. Maybe we have
more
much
skits
atzlacha.
coming up.
Amen.
Chaim.
Chaim, bing, bing.
Since we're talking about this, I'm planning on. I already told you I'm planning on doing like I'm trying. I can't promise. Bli neder. Every week to do comedy skit. Like I just did the Prime Minister skit. The next Prime Minister auditions on the elections because it's a hilarious situation, and I'm trying to do it on the situation, on what's happening right now. So I thought about it. I'm gonna start it to see how it works out, to do like a kind of like a late news report type of thing. That basically like reports on the latest funny news,
Current events.
and just like show the comedy in it, show how ridiculous it is. Because life is ridiculous.
I love it. I'm signing up. Subscribe, guys.
Subscribe.
Follow on
Mentality.
Instagram, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We really love all the support you guys have been giving. We're growing really well, and we love it, man. We love it. This is a journey for us. There's ups and downs. It's not easy for either of us to do
No.
this podcast.
We're no rabbis. We're just some two normal dudes.
Trying to spread some light, and it's not an easy thing to do, but we're enjoying it. And Baruch Hashem, thank you for being on the ride.
Yeah.
If you want to support, we have a PayPal. You can definitely throw some schmeckles in there.
Yeah.
We would love that.
Yeah.
Or some dollars. Dollars work, pounds, euro. That's all good. And
Support the equipment and the travels. We're planning on going to Jerusalem soon to interview some
True.
amazing people.
so if you know any rabbis there, let us know.
Who's on the list? Should we say?
No. We'll keep our besetter.
Yeah, because we don't not sure yet if it will happen. So.
אין הברכה
some
שרויה
great
אלא
people.
בדבר הסמוי מן העין.
Yeah,
The
whatever's
bracha
a
is only
secret.
there. Exactly. That's where the bracha is. Thank you, guys. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Chaim.
Much success. And Yeshuot. Mashiach now.
Welcome to the pod. Welcome to the pod.